Hello there! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make chord stacks in Ableton Live 11, like in this song I'm working on right here. Here's a quick list of things you'll need before we begin. Ableton Live 11, Serum, Labs from Spitfire, and Valhalla Supermassive. I will link these items I use below. Enjoy! To start off, we're going to want to grab a few different Serum patches. 2 main chord stacks, an arpeggio, and a bass. Now that we have these, we're going to want to set up the first chord stack to be a saw wave and a square wave with a little bit of detune. Then we're going to head on over to the effects tab and put a little bit of distortion and make sure this compression is on multiband. The next chord stack should be a bit more vocal. So what we can do here is get a detune square wave with a PWM warp to make it sound a little unstable, if that makes sense. This helps give it that extra movement feeling. Set that to around 16 is what I like to use, 116. And then make sure it hovers around the middle. If it hovers around the middle, it's going to sound horrible for a second, but it gets better. This patch over here for the arpeggio doesn't need to be complicated. Just a basic square wave. For the actual arpeggiation part, I use the plugin Arpeggiator. I usually play with the style a lot. If I want something really funky, you can automate the gate knob, but for now we'll just leave it close to 100%. We need a bass. For this, we'll use a default saw wave at a -2 octaves. Turn on Noise Oscillator and search under Organics for AC Hum 1. After that, you're going to go to the Effects tab for Magic. Turn on Distortion, then we'll turn the drive all the way up. Next up is a fun one. Get a Labs patch and play a chord that sounds good throughout your whole chord progression. After that, you'll want to put a large amount of reverb on it. So let's throw a Valhalla Supermassive on there and turn that up. Now we're going to consolidate this and find a part of it we like. Once you have this clip, what you're going to want to do is repeat it throughout the entire section, or at least as long as the chords are playing. Psst, pro tip. If your chords have gaps in between them, I suggest cutting the sample to meet the length requirement. It may be tedious, but it's very worth it. Now that we're done with that, we can go on and put some effects on this. I like to use a lot of erosion and some OTT to make it sound very thick and distorted, but feel free to play around and get a sound you really enjoy. Last but for sure not least, we need to get a good pad for some extra juicy ambience in these chords. I'm using one a friend sent me, but feel free to use any one that you feel fits your needs. Now we need to process and make these Serum patches sound good together. To do this, we'll throw some OTT and cut the low end from the chord stacks and arpeggio. For the ARP, we'll want some reverb too, just because it makes it a much more open sound. And lastly, for the bass, we're going to want to put an OTT and a multiband splitter on it so we can properly manage the mono on the low end. I don't feel like explaining how to make a multiband splitter, and if you don't feel like making a multiband splitter yourself, there will be a collection of presets and racks, just like the multiband splitter, and more in my Discord server, which I highly suggest you join. I'm looking to grow a community of producers and potentially host sample challenges. The link will be in the description for anybody who's interested. Now comes the more simple part. In order to actually automate my chord stack volume, I grouped all my sounds together, and then used the utility plugin to automate the volume up and down by hand. If you don't want to do this, I suggest using something like Auto Pan, where you can easily shift the panning feature into a volume automator. It just isn't necessarily as easily customizable as Ableton's automations. After you have your chord stacks all put together, you can now add a spicy lead on top, splash some drums in, and maybe a few extra effects, and then you should be good to go. I hope you enjoyed the video and stay tuned.